So it's getting harder and harder to purchase firearms and ammunition in California. Now we have cities like San Jose passing ordinances requiring that gun stores keep video and audio recordings of all individuals who engage in transactions in their stores. As well as we have the state of California trying to pass tax increases on firearms and ammunition sales. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think that the state of California as well as cities like San Jose need to stop infringing on our Second Amendment rights, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to thank another main sponsor of the channel, that is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you look into some sort of protection like USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. So the state of California is known for very much being an anti-gun state and passing a ton of laws that infringe on its residents' Second Amendment rights. Well, now we have a city in San Jose that went even further and passed an ordinance which further infringes on its individuals' Second Amendment rights. Now, some background of how this kind of all developed. Well, back in 2019, there was a shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival, and at that time, this specific ordinance was talked about, was brought up, and was kind of in the works of trying to get passed, but because of COVID and I guess a lack of interest, it kind of died out. Well, recently, there was the VTA shooting in San Jose, and this sparked a new interest in the city of San Jose of actually passing new anti-gun legislation, new anti-gun ordinances in the area. And this one actually was passed. It was unanimously voted on by the city council, and it is an ordinance that does multiple things. One of the things that it does is it requires that all gun stores within the city of San Jose actually keep video and audio recording of all transactions that take place at gun stores. Another thing that this ordinance does that a lot of people aren't talking about is that it also shuts down home resident FFLs. Now, I'm just going to read some language to you guys from this ordinance and as well as from the memorandum attached with the ordinance, and you can see for yourself how this is a direct infringement on your Second Amendment rights, but also on your First Amendment rights and your right to privacy. So coming from the memorandum, it talks about the statement of kind of the whole purpose behind this, and it talks about the video and audio recording transactions. It states, video and audio record every firearm and ammunition transfer to any unsworn member of the public, provide adequate storage of that data for a minimum period of 30 days, and enable reproduction or access to the videos to SJPD, so San Jose PD, or other agency designated by the city manager upon request. It then also goes on to state that this ordinance will also prohibit the sale of any firearm within or from a residence. So that's coming from the memorandum, and that is the general statement of what this is all involving. Now, when you actually go to the ordinance, the section that talks about the video and audio recording is 6.90.360, and this states, the sale or transfer of a firearm or of firearm ammunition to persons who are not sworn peace officers shall be recorded by the video surveillance system in such a way that the facial features of the purchaser or transferee are clearly visible. The sale or transfer of a firearm or of firearm ammunition to persons who are not sworn peace officers shall be recorded by the audio recording system in such a way that the voices of the purchaser or transferee and the licensee or manager or employee authorized to conduct the sale or transfer on behalf of the licensee will be clearly audible when replayed. So those are the requirements, and this is talking about when it actually has that video recording of you engaging in that firearm transaction. All of your facial features must be able to be seen on the video so that they can see who you are. And then it talks about that same thing with audio recording. It says that your voice must be clearly audible, as well as the individual engaging in that transaction with you, the employee, manager, whoever, must be able to be heard on that audio recording as well. So just right there, you can see how this is a huge infringement, not just on your Second Amendment rights, but also on your First Amendment rights to privacy. The ordinance then goes on to state that the stored images and audio recordings shall be maintained on the business premises of the licensee for a period of not less than 30 days. And then it talks about how they must be accessible to law enforcement officers so that they can get those video or audio recordings. Now, another thing to note here in all this discussion, and probably in some of the language you heard, is how law enforcement and law enforcement officers are going to be exempt from these requirements as well. So they don't have to have their faces recorded or their voices recorded when they're engaging in transactions. Like typical California fashion, like the state does with a lot of their laws, this ordinance does the same in exempting law enforcement officers. Now, another thing that this ordinance did that a lot of people aren't talking about is it shut down home residence FFLs, and this is in section 6.90 1.210. And it states, in addition, the business location shall not be in a residence, and a licensee shall not sell any firearms or firearms ammunition within or from a residence. So a lot of people in other states as well have home FFLs. They engage in transactions from their home. They kind of facilitate those transactions for people, especially if they're just like basic transfers that need to happen. But here the city of San Jose is shutting that down through this ordinance and pretty much saying that you cannot engage in FFL transactions or engage in being an FFL out of your own home or residence. Now, with all this, the video and audio recording requirements that are going to be placed on gun stores is going to go into effect 90 days after it being passed. And so that was June 15th, I think this last Tuesday. So 90 days from then, this ordinance will go into effect. Now, there's clearly going to be challenges to this that will pop up, and I will keep you guys updated on that as well. Now, I know I have a ton of viewers in California, maybe even a ton of viewers in Northern California, and this is one of those reasons why I always recommend people be engaged in local Second Amendment advocacy kind of groups and organizations, especially when it comes to areas like in Southern California. I have relationships with people like in the San Diego County Gun Owners Association, the San Bernardino County Gun Owners Association. There are tons of local organizations all over the state of California that help advocate for your Second Amendment rights and deal specifically with local like laws and ordinances that pop up like this. So if you're in the San Jose area, I highly recommend you join those local organizations. And even if you're not in San Jose, if you're in any other like area here in California, join those local organizations so that if anything like this ever pops up, you're aware of it and you can help fight out and speak out against it. Now, this brings me to the second part of this video. Beyond just advocating at your local level, we right now in California need you to actually go and talk to your local representatives in the state of California to oppose AB 1223. This is something we've talked about on this channel multiple times. And AB 1223 is that ammunition and firearms tax increase. It is that excise tax and is being actually promoted by Levine in California. This is a bill that kind of died out, I believe, in 2019, has been brought back up. Recently, it was even defeated and there weren't enough votes, but now they're pushing it forward in an emergency basis, and I think it is going for a vote this next week, I think as early as Monday. So we really need you to reach out to your local representatives, let them know you do not agree with this, once again, to not vote in favor of passing this increase in tax. I know Levine multiple times has stated that this is not a tax increase on the actual purchaser, that it is simply just a tax increase on the actual gun stores. But the fact of the matter is that tax increase on those gun stores, on those individuals that are engaging in actually selling firearms, that is going to be transferred onto the individual purchasers as well. Because if the state of California is going to charge that gun store 10% more for selling a handgun, they are then going to actually increase the handgun price as well. That actually trickles down to us purchasers. So we are going to pay 10% more, because if not, if the gun stores do not increase their own sales price, they're going to have to eat a 10% loss on their own, which a lot of these gun stores are already making a very low margin on these sales as it is. So they're going to have to do this. They're going to have to increase the sales price on handgun sales, on rifle sales, and on ammunition sale as well. So like I said, join those local organizations, as well as reach out to your representatives right now in the state of California and let them know to oppose and not vote in favor of AB 1223. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you guys like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell, because that helps the channel analytics, helps to spread the word about the Second Amendment, also spread the word about 2A news like this that is going on in the state of California that infringes on our Second Amendment rights. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.